Why the smartest people almost always fail first. What if the smartest thing about you was actually the thing holding you back from success? It sounds crazy, right? We look at people like Thomas Edison or J.K. Rowling and see them as these untouchable icons of genius. We quote them, we study them, but we forget the most important part of their story. Their greatest wins only came after massive, spectacular failures. And they learned a secret lesson in those dark moments that changed everything. That secret is what I'm about to share with you. Have you ever felt completely stuck? You know you're smart, you've got great ideas, but for some reason, you're just not moving forward. It's one of the most frustrating feelings on earth. This is the great paradox of being smart. We think intelligence is a free pass to success, but it often works against us. Smart people fail all the time, and their intelligence is usually the reason why. The first trap is analysis paralysis. Your brain is so good at seeing every possible option that it gets stuck. You map out every scenario, every tiny thing that could go wrong, and you spend all your time thinking and planning instead of actually doing. You're waiting for the perfect plan, but perfection is a myth. And while you're waiting, the world is passing you by. The second trap, the fear of looking stupid. When you're the smart one, your entire identity is built on being right. So failure doesn't just feel like a bump in the road, it feels like a final judgment on your self-worth. This makes you play it safe. You stick to the things you know you can crush, and you avoid the huge, ambitious goals where you might actually fail. Your brain, which should be your greatest tool, becomes a trophy you're too scared to even use. But what if the greatest minds didn't just get over this fear? What if they used it? To see how, we have to look at one of the most famous failures in history. Thomas Edison's thousands of failures. Thomas Edison, the guy who basically invented the modern world. But before he lit up the planet, he was the man who kept getting it wrong. The story of the light bulb isn't a flash of genius. It's a story of grinding, relentless, and spectacular failure. He and his team tested thousands of different materials for the filament, that little wire that glows. They tried cotton, cardboard, legend even says hair from a friend's beard. One by one, they all failed. Imagine the pressure, the money, the public ridicule, reporters asking why you have no results. After thousands of failed attempts, one of his assistants reportedly complained that all their work had been for nothing. This is where almost everyone would quit. The weight of that much failure would be crushing. But Edison's response reveals the secret. He famously replied, "Results? I've had plenty of results. I've successfully found 10,000 ways that will not work." That one sentence changes everything. He didn't see thousands of failures. He saw thousands of steps. He wasn't failing, he was learning. His workshop wasn't a graveyard of mistakes. It was the world's greatest library on what not to do. Years later, when his entire factory complex burned to the ground, destroying everything, he calmly told his son, "Go get your mother and all her friends. They'll never see a fire like this again." The very next day, he started rebuilding. That isn't just being positive, it's a mindset. Failure wasn't the opposite of success, it was a part of it. J.K. Rowling's Rejection. Let's fast forward 100 years to another story that's just as crazy. In the 90s, a single mom in Edinburgh was completely broke. She had an idea about a boy wizard that came to her on a train. She was so poor she had to manually type her manuscript over and over again to send to publishers. That manuscript was Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. It's impossible to imagine a world without Harry Potter now, but for years, nobody wanted it. Rejection letter after rejection letter piled up. The feedback was always the same. The book was way too long for kids. In total, 12 publishers said no. 12 times the experts told her that her dream was a waste of time. Just think about that. The crippling self-doubt, the desperation, feeling your dream die with every no. It would have been so easy to give up, but she didn't. As she later said, Hitting rock bottom became the solid foundation on which she rebuilt her life. Failure had burned away everything that wasn't essential. All that was left was the work, the story that she had to tell. Finally, the 8-year-old daughter of a small publisher read the first chapter and demanded to know what happened next. The publisher agreed to a tiny first print run of just 500 copies. Even then,
every time you take action, you strengthen that muscle. You prove to yourself that you're someone who does things, not just thinks about them. That is how you turn potential into reality. Your unshakable why. The third and final piece of the secret is the fuel for everything else. It's the engine that gets you through thousands of failures and a dozen rejections. You must have an unshakable why. Grit isn't enough to get you through the hard times. You need a purpose. When the initial excitement is gone and you're left with just the grind, discipline alone won't save you. You need something deeper. Edison's why wasn't just to invent a light bulb, it was to create a world powered by electricity. Rowling's why wasn't just to get published, it was her deep love for her story and the desperate need to create a better life for her daughter. Your why is what you hold onto in the middle of a storm of self-doubt. It's the reason you get back up for the 10th time. When you are totally connected to your purpose, failure stops being a personal attack. It's just an obstacle standing between you and the thing you know you have to do. It's what gives you the strength to say, "Watch me," when the world is screaming, "You can't." So ask yourself, honestly, why are you doing this? What purpose is so important to you that you're willing to fail for it, over and over again? If you don't have an answer, find one. Because that's the ultimate fuel. Yeah. If this hit home for you, and you know someone who is terrified of failing, share this video with them. Sometimes we just need to be reminded that the road to success is paved with failures. And if you want more videos that will help you turn your ideas into reality, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Conclusion: the smartest people almost always fail first, not because they're unlucky, but because they're the ones brave enough to try the things that will probably fail. They're the ones pushing the limits. They get a truth that most people forget. Failure is not the end, it's the training ground. It's where you build strength, where you learn humility, and where you collect the data you need to finally win. The secret lesson from Edison and Rowling is that success isn't about avoiding failure. It's about learning to fail better. It's about reframing failure as data, building your execution muscle, and finding a why that you can't shake. As Nelson Mandela said, it always seems impossible until it's done. Your biggest success is probably waiting for you on the other side of your next big failure. What's the biggest lesson failure has ever taught you? Tell me in the comments below.